About a week away from the season, have the Houston Texans been bit by the injury bug, or is it just a little gnat? Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do.
Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and on the Odyssey app. Appreciate you for coming through, whether you're a Texans fan or not. This is the top place to get the pulse of what's going on with the Houston Texans. Please like, subscribe, right along. This will be the number one spot for digital content. And as the season picks up, hopefully the Texans are a little bit more relevant than they've been, and interest increases just a little bit. So I want to get into the injuries that happened with the Texans this year, or this week, I should say, and the ones that have become official, because the term injury bug has been thrown out, and we've seen teams get bit by the injury bug. Like, we've seen the Texans get bit by the injury bug, and I mean, really, eventually, every team over the course of a season, knock on wood, is going to get bit by the injury bug. It's a dangerous sport. It's a violent sport. And whether it's, a large amount of guys missing a couple of weeks, whether it's, season-ending injuries, I'll knock on wood again, the injury bug can bite. 2017 was probably the worst we ever saw it. Deshaun tore his ACL. You had, seemed like everyone got hurt. You had J.J. Watt get hurt, Whitney Merciless. So we've seen it happen. I think that perhaps the term injury bug might be a little bit much with what's going on with the Texans right now. Now, you're going to be missing two important guys in Cam Johnson and Juice Scruggs. They're going to start the season on IR. They're going to miss at least 4 games. And then you're going to miss Kenyon Green for the entire season. Now, I know Nick Caserio tried to talk about the Kenyon Green injury as like something significant, and you never want someone to get hurt. But let's be honest, how much better do you feel about Kenyon Green being on the field compared to the alternative? Whether it's Dieter, whether it's Kendrick Green, whoever it is, how much better do you really feel about Kenyon Green? The Kendrick and Kenyon is going to drive me freaking nuts this year. But how much better did you really feel about Kenyon Green? I think the injury thing is good for him. And it's good that they don't have to put him in position to be on the field, because quite frankly, it was almost cruel putting him out there with the way that he was performing. Furthermore, with the Juice Scruggs injury, the Juice Scruggs thing is a situation where, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, he was looking good, but you should be able to make do with your backup center. You should be able to. Now, I know that they lost Scott Quessenberry as well, but you should be able to make do. And I think we need to look around the rest of the league and just see what they're going to be dealing with the first 4 weeks. Let's just look around the AFC South. I won't talk about Baltimore. I won't talk about Pittsburgh. That's the week 1 opponent and then the week 4 opponent. But the 2 division games that you have right in the middle there, for 4 weeks at least, Jonathan Taylor's not going to be on the Indianapolis Colts. So they're having to deal with not having Jonathan Taylor in the backfield with a quarterback that probably needs him pretty badly. The Jaguars are going to be without their starting left tackle. They're going to be without Cam Robinson. Now, it's not an injury. It's PD or whatever the hell that is. But they're going to have to be without him. So if you're just talking about what the Texans are going to be without, a backup center, a guard who might not have even been better than the backup, and a punter, which would you rather be without? Would you rather be without Dameon Pierce or what the Texans are currently dealing with? Would you rather be without Laramie Tunsil or what the Texans are dealing with? Or would you rather have to make do without your punter and your rookie center and a guard that you didn't know was even better than the alternative. And the alternative wasn't that great. I would personally rather be where the Texans are at. I don't think this is an injury bug type of thing. And I see Brown Chubby Bear in the comments. Shout out to BCB. Dieter is on the practice squad. And that was really, and I think I think the hardcore Texans fans that follow this squad were really, really confused. I think the most confusing thing for Texans fans was the fact that Dieter was your starting guard in the final preseason game, and then you released him. I think that was where the real, like the Kenyon Green confusion, I think that was what really confused a lot of people, because a guy who actually played decently and a guy who actually probably was better than Kenyon Green at the moment got released, but now he's back on the practice squad, and I could easily see him being active at some point for sure. So I feel a little bit better about that. I don't feel awesome, but I feel a little bit better about that. And let's be honest, there's going to be a time this season where the injury bug is going to appear. But at this point, the offensive line, I'm not as concerned as a lot of people would be, because I don't think that the guys that are going down, it's not like you're losing Laramie Tunsil or Titus Howard. I think Titus Howard is going to be on the field. Robert says you're not including the context of needing a solid O-line for a rookie QB and scheme predicated on running the ball. First of all, you don't know what this scheme is predicated on. We haven't seen what Bobby Slowick does. Second of all, the context is right there for you. Kenyon Green wasn't a good player, and Juice Scruggs, we don't know how good he is. I mean, I'm not saying this about Laramie Tunsil. I mean, that's common sense. Like that, I know that doesn't sound deep. I mean, that's not depth. Like, you're not including the context of needing a solid O-line. Of course you need a solid O-line, but we don't know what this scheme is. The other thing is we kind of have like PTSD when it comes to these types of situations. And we've been trained this way for damn near 10 years, where if one offensive lineman's out, you're screwed, because Bill O'Brien was going to put an inferior offensive lineman in a position to where you weren't scheming around him. You weren't rolling out. You weren't giving him help. And a lot of times he would be exposed. Pep Hamilton was awful at that last year. And we don't know if Bobby Slowick is going to be able to do that. But in the BOB system, in the Pep Hamilton system, in the Tim Kelly system, if you're missing your starting offensive lineman and you're putting alternatives in, they're going to be on an island. But I think we make the mistake a lot of the time in saying that and assuming that the starting guy was good. We don't know if Juice Scruggs is good. I think he can be good. I think he's eventually going to be good. We know Kenyon Green was bad. It's like in college football. God, I'm so glad college football is back. Shout out to all the college football fans, man. I know y'all are in heaven. If you're like me, you're probably not going to be able to sleep tonight, and you're going to have that alarm set to watch game day. But the funniest thing about college football, and they do this all the time. They don't do this in the pros, but in college football, when you're talking about a bad squad, and you're talking about a team that sucked, like let's say a team that won one game, you'll read the back in the magazine days, or you'll go to, the previews now on the website, and it'll say they return, this many starters. Well, they sucked. So does it matter if they're returning starters? Like the team won one game, they're terrible. So when you lose starters, I keep hearing, well, the Texans are going to be without 2 of their 5 starters. Okay, one of them was god-awful. Kenyon Green was god-awful. Now, reasons, whatever, we can say that, fine. He was god-awful. Maybe he was battling through something, and he deserves to be commended. I know the coaching staff has commended him. He was god-awful. So you didn't even probably had Kenyon Green never even been announced to be out for the season, I think 90% of people that watched that final preseason game would say, all right, Dieter's got to start. So that doesn't count. Okay. Juice Scruggs, That's probably the biggest injury they have. Got to figure that out. I don't know anything about this punter, this backup punter. And I think Cam Johnston's damn good. He's been top 10 in net and punting average. I think Cam Johnston's a very underrated weapon. But hopefully your offense and defense aren't as bad as they've been the last few years to where you're not relying on a punter as much and we're not talking about a punter. That's where I would be. Now, if Titus Howard is out, that would change stuff. Nick Crawford asks, is Howard going to be back week 1 or still unsure? Still unsure, but he's been getting that work in. If I had to bet on it, I would think he is going to be ready. Rolo disagrees. I don't see Howard being week 1. He'll likely return for our home opener. We'll see. He's running. I mean, the dude was, there's certain, like if you ever go to a practice, there's a certain urgency on the sidelines that you see with guys when they're close to coming back. And they're usually like taking it's a physical on the sidelines where they're doing full sprints, full conditioning. There's a couple of trainers by him and they're taking them through the process. And you saw it with Winovich before he came back. Quintariano was doing it before he came back. There was never any sign of Kirksey and Charlie Heck doing it. Charlie Heck is moving like lurch on the sidelines. Titus Howard was doing it 2 days, like I want to say 4 days after he got surgery. Like Titus Howard, and it was a 4 or 5 week injury. Titus Howard was doing the conditioning level workout on the side literally less than a week after he got surgery. So do with that information what you will. I think, it's hard to imagine, him wanting to miss this game. And the other question is, do they move Titus to guard? Do they consider putting Titus? Because I think that would solve a lot of problems that you may have unless you feel good about Dieter. Or maybe you want to put Dieter at center. Dieter got some center work, and you put Titus at guard for a couple of weeks, and Jones or Fant on the right side. Who knows? Maybe Jones plays guard. I think he's more of a tackle, but maybe he plays guard. But we'll see what happens. I wouldn't bet against Titus Howard. I will say that. Now they won't throw him out there if they don't feel confident. But I wouldn't bet against him. But the other thing is, it's going to really come down to Bobby Slowick. But injury bug, I think it's more of an injury gnat. What say you? Put it in the comments. Subscribe, like, right along. This is a little late night edition of the Locker Room. Going to be a little bit shorter. Usually we go about an hour. This one's going to be a little bit shorter. We're getting to game week. Got the college football going on and all that type of stuff. Kind of a quiet slate this week. Next week's Lone Star slate of teams in Texas is going to be wild. Texas at Alabama. Utah's coming to Waco. Oregon's going to Lubbock. That's going to be a wild-ass week in the Lone Star State. Which is really where we focus on. So we'll see what happens with the Texans. Do you think it's an injury bug? Do you think it's an injury gnat? Which injury do you think is the worst? I would say the Juice Scruggs one, but the Kenyon Green one, I don't even really consider that, the worst thing. And the punting, God, Cam Johnston might have spoiled us. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it doesn't cost them too bad, but we'll see what happens with the whole situation there. Quit hating before we get out of here. Never understood D-Hop will stunt Dell and Mechie's development. D-Hop and Tank and Evans would have been wild, man. You playing Madden, man. You must be playing what's the thing the kids call like super team stuff? D-Hop, Tank, and Evans. That's Madden. Very, very nice stuff right there. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Subscribe, like, roll right along. It is the best place to get the pulse of what's going on with the Texans. I'm Landry Locker. This has been another edition of the Locker Room. No matter what happens with the Texans, though, when it comes to this stuff, we're all in it together. Have a fantastic football weekend. I'll talk to you throughout.
We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in